One thing about 16 that I was very impressed with was your use of accents, because it was one of the first times I played a fantasy game that actually sounded like, you know, there's British accents, but this was like one of the first times where I felt like, oh, these are authentic British accents, not just your stereotypical ones that you'd normally hear in like a fantasy title. And it was very surprising to see it come from a Japanese company as well.
Yeah, why did they get this right and so many other companies don't?
I mean, I think it's just because people don't place as much importance on it. I mean,
because a lot of the time there's just British, they're like British.
And the thing is, for me, you know, being an American, you hear the British accents and you don't think that there are multiple accents. You think they're just British accents. And you don't realize that, no, if you go literally 100 miles this way, you're now in a different region that has different types of accents. Or if you go, you know, up into the north, you're going to have completely different accents. We don't realize it until, but then, you know, once you hear it though, and you're like, oh my God, they are completely different. I can, totally like, you hear the Geordie accent, you hear, you know, the Cornwall accent, you're like, oh, this is completely different. How did I ever think that these were the same? How did I think that Dick Van Dyke was a British speaker up there on the chimney? But that was, one thing that we wanted to do. And again, because we at Square, you know, we had tried British accents with Final Fantasy XIV, and it was kind of like a mashup of just lots of different British accents. And the thing is, for most of the users, it was fine. But the users in the UK, the small portion, like, we would get feedback. It was like,
the hell is this accent?
This is not. And so with Final Fantasy XVI, you know, because we had John Taylor again, being from the UK, and then our editors, we had this company called Schlock that they don't not only edit, but they've translated stuff in the like Ni no Kuni. They work there, the company that worked on that. And they're based in the UK as well. And so one of the first things that like, they were like, okay, Koji, we need to do accents properly this game. I'm like, okay, I'm all for it, you know, but you guys are the pros on this. Let's do it right. And so, immediately early on, we're like, okay, we have these different regions. Let's choose an accent for each of these regions and let's make it make sense. So we have the Northern Territories, and we're like, dude, Geordie.
Bit rough around the edges.
We have like Rosaria, which is in the West Country. We're going to have them like, you know, it's going to be all of the apple orchard farmers there making scrumpy in their bathtubs. and then you have like Sambrec, who's like the proper sort of the Queen's English. You know, Dalmekia, okay, we're going to make them London. And so we decided that right from the beginning. And then we made sure that every single character that comes from that area, we got the data from the team, like all the NPCs, for all of the hundreds of NPCs, like which nation are they from? And then we got that data, and then we like, okay, we're going to make sure that our voice actors we're going to get West Country voice actors. We're going to make sure we get Geordie voice actors for the continent, Lancashire. I mean, like we went all out, and when we stuck with it. And so hopefully, you know, the point was to have that if a British speaker closed their eyes and they heard a new NPC, they'd know immediately if they're from Rosaria or Zambrec. Based on the accent. And
even if you're not British, I feel like you can still tell or subconsciously be aware of these different accent shifts and appreciate like it's gone into that.
And I mean, and it's, you know, you hear the Geordie accent, you think the North. And so even if you haven't played 16, if you hear like a clip of Gav, they're like, is this guy from the North? Yes, he's actually in the game. He's also from the North.
So. The first time I heard Gav speaking that accent, I was just like, oh, you're my favorite character already.
Gav is the one who sounds like he eats rocks, right? Or eats cigarettes and oil. Which was
that's Sid.
That's Sid.
That's Ralph Ineson.
Yeah, he's a very famous actor. So a lot of the actors, when I heard them, I was like, whoa, this is like people I heard a lot when I was growing up on TV or something. Like these are all quite well-known acters.
Yes, we did get to work with a lot of people that were like, oh, I know this person from this, I know this person from this. We had a bunch of people from Game of Thrones, from The Last Kingdom, and then Ralph Ineson was out of all, but maybe there's another one, but out of all the characters, the only one that we didn't audition for, that I knew exactly who I wanted to play, was Ralph Ineson's character. I'd seen him in The Witch, which is one of my favorite movies. I just love that movie. Robert Eggers and that script is just like.
Can you pull up The Witch? I want to see what it looks like. This.
Robert Eggers is good. So.
Well, what else has Robert Eggers done? He's done.
Did The Lighthouse?
Also of course, I love The Lighthouse.
Nosferatu.
Watch Nosferatu as well.
I mean,
oh my god. Okay, so sorry.
And he's the father, and it's just like you hear that booming, gravelly voice. I'm like, oh my
Yes.
God, this is amazing. And so I knew
Imposing
that
voice.
I heard that. I'm like, okay, if I'm ever on a game where I get to choose a voice actor, I'm going to push for this.
That must have been so
heard
cool
this-
though when you sent out the request and it was like,
and to do is like, because I mean, I had seen he'd worked on Assassin's Creed Black
you're
Flag.
like, it is possible. It is
I was
possible.
like, okay, he's worked on a game before, and we sent it out to him, and his agent was like, oh yeah, Ralph loves working on games. I'm like, yes,
Nice.
Hell yeah.
he was the coolest guy ever. Oh my God, he's so down to earth. I mean, you see him, he's like, movie star.
Yeah.
But he's in the
Yeah.
booth and he's just joking with you. I think during the media tour that we had, he came along, and after one night he got super drunk and he was just like, I'm like, oh, this guy's the best.
That sounds amazing.
Hell yeah.
He is the coolest guy ever. So yes.
Oh, dude, hell yeah. That's so awesome. I know, like, it's awesome to hear that, like, how cool of an experience that was to work with,
Yeah.
like, bigger names as well in gaming. And also that gaming's gotten to that point now where,
We're getting like movie stars.
yeah, it's like they're seeing it as like equal. That's really
Finally,
cool.
I mean, because
Yeah.
back in the day, it was just like you'd get a lot of people that were like, "Oh, we don't want to do this because it's beneath us," type of thing, because it's a game, or they'd ask for ridiculous amounts of money to do it, to do their one or two lines, and then they just kind of half-ass their way through them because
Yeah.
it's
Not
they don't
taking it
see
seriously.
it.
Yeah.
But now it's
I mean, you've been there for the entire evolution of just how the public views this as, the
medium taking it more
medium being
seriously,
taken
yeah.
more seriously.
Yeah,
yes.
for sure.
I was playing Final Fantasy X not too long ago, and obviously the dub is iconic in many ways.
iconic.
And there are certain points, and I felt this when I've played other games as well, but where it is obvious that the actor doesn't get it. But they're delivering their lines, but you can tell they just don't know what the heck they are talking about. But the voice is there and all the things are there, but you can just tell from like maybe, and I'm sure you can tell as well, like you can just like, they don't get what they're talking about here. They're just kind of delivering it, and it's.
And again, that there's so many reasons why that can happen.
Games are
that
a lot more complicated than a
right.
movie. Or
Like
an
I think
actor.
that a lot of times, people that maybe aren't involved with it will just see the final product and think, oh wow, he's a terrible actor, or oh wow, that was terrible direction, or oh wow, that's a terrible script, or wow, that's terrible localization. And the thing is, it can be those things sometimes, but other times it's just a mix of so many different things. Like
so many little things have to go wrong. I think
for example, you could have maybe you only have one session left, and you have 4 hours to record 300 lines, which means you only get one take, and you don't get to explain to a person, the background behind stuff, or maybe somebody came in late and they missed a session, so they only really have a little bit of time, or maybe we did record a great line. And then afterwards, the Japanese decided to change the cutscene and cut out a big portion in the middle, but we have to use the same line that we have. And so we had to cut it in a weird place, or it doesn't sound the same. Or maybe the Japanese went and redid their line, but we couldn't do our line. Or, maybe the actor just didn't get enough reps in, doing his push-ups, and so he's in a bad mood. There are so many different reasons. And again, I will take responsibility for some of the stuff, but a lot of the stuff is just like, because there's so many moving parts.
Yeah.
So many moving parts.
It's
and
big.
and again, when you're not the source language, there's just so many things that separate you from it. Because again, it's made for the source.
Yeah.
The visuals are made for the source. The original recording is made to that. The lip flaps are all done for the source. And
especially between like Japanese and English as well. Like you can't have two languages that couldn't be further apart culturally.
Well,
so like trying to smoothly transition that over in a natural way must be ridiculously hard.
Well, even that, but like, that the fact that the languages are just so completely different, like grammatically and contextually, like, you have Japanese being, very high context. They cut out a lot of things. A lot of things are implied.
Yeah.
And there's lots of weird pauses and everything. Whereas English, you have to explain everything because we're lower context. So we need to put more words in there. But if you have the Japanese, where they're literally only a couple little flaps and they've said like a whole sentence because they've said like 5 kanji in a row. And in English, we need like, 30 words to say this, but we only have 5. And then there's a weird pause in the middle. So you get a like, and so I am going to tell you. And like everyone sounds like William Shatner trying to do,
We spoke about this once. I saw a study that had studied how long was the average pause duration that each language or culture was comfortable with.
Yeah.
Right.
In English, it was like 3. And that's like the most before it gets awkward. I think Japanese is like 6.
Right.
And it's like quite a long, 6 seconds is a long
That's a
time
long
to be
time.
silent for, at least in English, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
ridiculous. But in Japan,
Yeah.
it's
But that 6
Pausing is-
seconds, that pause has meaning to it. There's
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
in
yeah.
that pause. Like I
Yeah.
found this, like even when I was doing, the translations where you'd have a lot of things end in ellipses. Like people that read a lot of,
Yeah.
the manga as
yeah.
well. And like
Yep,
there's
yeah.
ellipses everywhere
Yeah.
because it's the thing that comes after the ellipses that is now on the reader to imagine, oh, this is what goes in that spot.
Yeah.
And so I guess they're giving you the 6 seconds to kind of like
Yeah.
process, okay, this ... means this, and this.
Yeah.
It's probably further dramatized as well when it's in fiction, right? Like 6 seconds in real speaking, it
Yes.
could be like 10, 12 seconds in a dramatized script, right?
So you recorded it all in English. It went great. I imagine there's probably some headaches on the Japanese side because it's probably their first time having to essentially kind of
Yes.
work
Yeah.
from a localizer perspective.
Yes,
Of trying to do that, right?
They went way slower than they usually do. Normally, again, when the Japanese is first, they will spend a lot of time on each line because it's the first time you're recording it. They want to make sure they get it right, and they're afforded a schedule and a budget that allows them to spend a lot of time on
Yes.
it. But
Yeah.
once you get the other languages, well, the base is already done.
Yeah.
So you don't need to spend, the thinking is, I'm not saying this is the right way, but the thinking is it's already done in Japanese. So you just
What
need
could
to
possibly
use that
take
Japanese.
time?
What could
Yes.
possibly be different? You just,
Yeah.
you don't need like, 3 or 4 takes. You only need 1 take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they schedule a lot more lines in an hour or 2 hours than they do for that first
Right.
take. And so in the English, because we were not only recording first, but we were also doing mocap. We had the head cams on because they're
yeah.
doing facial mocap.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, right.
All was being done in English. And so we were going very slow. We would, sometimes I think maybe we would get when times that we need to do a lot of retakes and get the line just right, then maybe we would get like 10 or 12 lines in an hour. Not all the time. We were averaging much more during the rest of the project, but there were times when, literally 5 minutes per line because we had to get it just right because it was the first time.
Yeah, it's very important.
And I've heard tales about games that have taken even longer. I remember when I was doing recording in LA once, and the people there were talking about the God of War team, and the God of War teams, they do maybe like 5 lines an hour sometimes because they had to
Jeez.
get it exactly right. That's how much of a perfection. And you play
I
those
mean,
games,
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
absolutely amazing. But that's what they're doing. Whereas,
Yeah.
like if you do like an anime dub.
Yes.
Oh, it's
Like I've
fast.
asked, like this, like 80 lines, like you're literally like not even a minute per line,
Yeah.
and you're only doing 1 take and going to the next. Like
yeah.
I'd
right?
feel very rude sometimes if I was like, I really want to do that again. But I could tell there was a lot of, sometimes depending on the director, they
they're
might be
like,
like, you're being come on, we pay for the studio, we gotta hurry up.
yeah.
Because people, I think they sometimes forget that it's not the voice actor that's expensive, it's the studio that's expensive, and they paid for a certain amount of hours and
Yes,
engineer.
you're paying
so-
for the studio, paying for the engineer, you're
Yep.
paying for the guy in the office,
The
that's putting
director,
it- everything
yeah.
is
So it's a
everything
lot.
costs
Yeah.
money, and so they want to go, and so that was the thing. So because Japanese had usually got the luxury of spending a lot of time on each line, and now the English got that luxury, and now the Japanese is like, okay, we need you to do this many lines an hour, and then of course Mahiro-san gets in there, he starts listening, he wants to like rewrite all the lines in
Yeah.
the studio, and they're like, yeah.
My first time.
Yeah, and so I think it was kind of a culture shock for him in the sense that, oh wow,
This is what you have to
this is
deal
what
with?
you have to
Yeah.
deal with. And but like from in the end, it's like I don't want to ever do this again. So, so you're okay with me doing it again? You just don't want to do it again. Okay, thanks.
Damn.